volunteer, and I was so shocked. I'm sorry, I'm kind of having that delay a little bit. Today our guest speaker is going to be Brittany from Safe and Sound. She will give an introduction, and then she will inform you what is Safe and Sound offers for our citizens here at District 5 and in the city of Milwaukee, correct, as well, across the board. So, and then our captain will then debrief the crime in our District 5. So we'll start with Brittany.
Hey everybody, I'm Brittany McKinney. I'm the neighborhood safety coordinator at Safe and Sound. Safe and Sound is a nonprofit organization. We unite youth, residents, and law enforcement and with community resources to try to make our neighborhoods safer. A couple things that we do is prevention work. We do community building, and we also do, we teach like self-care to kids in school. We do resident leader training to try to start block clubs and things like that. And we also are in districts 2, 3, 4, 7, and now we have a pilot program in Racine, so we're doing that as well. A part of the prevention work we do, we go into schools and we do programming. We usually try to do 8th grade and high school, but now we've been talking to the middle school kids as well. Sometimes we do elementary at Our Avenue and Hopkins Lloyd. We do Drive Wisdom, where we teach them about just driving laws, about reckless driving. It's a program called Drive 143, I believe. We also do Natural High. It's an interactive session where we usually do like goggles where it makes you seem like you're under the influence for different type of drugs and alcohol to let them know how they feel or how they would feel if they were under the influence. We do YPV, which is Youth Preventing Violence. It's a 6-week course where we talk about everything, anything where it could be violence between dating or just anything in schools. We do substance prevention, and we also have a choices program. Now with our community building, we do something called a Hope Circle. The Hope Circle is an acronym for Hear Our Pain Expressed. We have all of the kids or adults we can do it with. They sit in a circle, we ask them 10 questions about like when was the last time you cried, or how do you cope and deal with, things you go through in pain. So we do that. We have everybody sit in a circle and they write down the answers on a note card. They throw them in the middle of the floor. At the end of the Hope Circle, everybody just grabs 10 pieces of paper and you read it out. It lets them know that some of them have the same problems that they don't get to talk about, or they're not comfortable with talking about. Just letting people know to give them grace, and you never know what somebody's going through. We also do intergenerational talking circles with older and younger. We try to get like we talk about politics sometimes, we talk about drugs, we talk about anything that could affect all aspects and ages. And we get the younger people to hear the older people hear the younger people. That's called an intergenerational circle. Those are really good. We usually have a big turnout with those. And then we do youth councils and summits as well. Some of the self-care that we do, we go into the schools and we do what we call with the little girls a smiling swag. That gives them like time just to talk to us about growing up as young women of color or not, and it just gives them, we like do their hair, nails, sometimes facials, just letting them know that self-care is a part of life that you need in order to get through real life situations. With the younger men, we do barbershop Mondays. Some of the men, we invite MPD or other organizations, West Care, things like that, where we give out free haircuts to the underprivileged kids or just any kids who've been doing good and recommended by their teacher. The resident leader trainings, a lot of the people go through that, who want to do a block club or want to start a block club, and it's just basically teaching them how to establish the block club, hold the monthly neighborhood meetings, kind of outreach, and using the city's MKE mobile app to like put in complaints and stuff like that so we can get situations done. We also do, I also, working with MPD, I do knock and talks, mediations, automatic walks, just giving our resources. Sometimes we go to houses that keep getting calls and they might be pre-nuisance or something. We go try to figure out what we can do with them and what resources we can give them without it just being an arrest. So we do that, and I also work with Bella and Tony now. They're our new neighborhood organizers. They do pre-DNS warnings. Y'all want to talk more about that type of stuff? Okay, they do.
Like you covered everything.
Okay, they do pre-DNS warnings. We get out and do that a lot. We just try to collaborate with different organizations and MPD and anybody really who's willing to collaborate with us and try to make our neighborhood safer, try to get events and activities for kids to do so they're not out on the street, and just educate them about what could go wrong if they are out on the street. We also do surveys twice a year, collective impact surveys, where we just go out and collect, we do surveys in our priority neighborhoods. For District 5, our priority neighborhoods are, it's not Harambe anymore because I guess they seem like we don't need it there now. So now it's United Community as well as Amani. We'll be doing like pop-ups in the summertime, just barbecuing, giving out free food, resources. We'll invite other nonprofits and people who have resources for the community that they can use. We also do like Job Corps, the free phone people, stuff like that. Just meeting people where they at to try to get them some of the help that they need. Some of the things that they said were the biggest problems when we did the survey was domestic violence, gun violence, reckless driving, and basically speeding. So those were like the problems that were all across the board high. And this is all of the data that we collected. Basically, we asked them like how do they know they community partners as well as like city service workers, the public libraries, faith-based people in the schools. We try to, like, those are the top people that we can work together to get things done within the community, because nobody can do it by themselves. If PD can't do it by themselves, we can't do it by ourselves. Nobody working alone can handle all of this stuff alone. So working together, we realized that we have a better outcome. That's really kind of it, like what we do. Does anybody have any questions or anything?
Where do you like promote your activities? Cause I'm out in that neighborhood, you know, that next door thing. I never see anything on there.
We have our Safe and Sound website, which is just safeandsound.org. We also have a Facebook page. It's a Facebook page. It's just Safe and Sound. And each district has a Facebook page of their own. So it's one for 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7. So if you're on Facebook or just on the internet, you can Google Safe and Sound, and then you can just click and it'll go right to it. And we have a calendar as well as a resource guide that we put out every month, letting people know who's hiring. We have housing resources, just food pantries, anything that you can think of that people need. We try to put that in our resource guide monthly and upload it to Facebook. And we do outreach as well. Yes.
So I know I came in a little late, and I came in right before you said Harambe doesn't need it anymore, and I work at Riverworks. So what does Harambe not need? What I heard, like,
I can't
some
give
of
you
what
a
you said.
specific answer about that, but statistically, the numbers say that crime has gone down. Like, it's been things going on in the community. It's been more community participation and engagement.
Okay, but what I'm asking is, what does that mean Harambe's not getting from Safe and Sound?
No, you're still in District 5, so we still are working in District 5. I mean, we're still working in Harambe, but as far as it being one of our priority neighborhoods, it's just not a priority neighborhood anymore because they felt like United Community needed it more than Harambe.
What's the geography of
United Community is NSP area in like the Garden Homes area. They feel like it's rougher and need more resources than Harambe.
What is your address and how do we get an appointment to meet with someone, or do you have a counselor or someone to meet with us if we wanted to block club or?
We actually, Bella and Tony, we have on the back here where the sign-in sheets are at.
Right.
We also have a get to know you flyer, which has each of our email and phone number on there, so you can reach right out to us and then we can set up a meeting and we can like do it at the library or, you know, anywhere. And we also, do drug take-backs. We have a drug take-back. It's like to get rid of the unwanted or drugs that's not needed anymore, and we will be doing that on April 22nd. I believe it's a Saturday. 26th. I'm sorry. April 26th is a Saturday. It's gonna be at East Capitol Walmart, and we will have the red boxes for syringes and needles as well as a box for all not liquid drugs. I don't think, do we do liquid?
No liquid.
No liquid, but pills and syringes will be collected.
Prescription drugs.
Prescription.
All
yeah.
prescription drugs.
Do you really think that any other drugs are gonna be turned in?
It needs to be specified.
I bet you take all kinds of
Oh, thank you. Okay.
Any more questions or anything? No, I did a good job. Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Brittany. Safe to sound. All right, I'm Captain Jeremiah Jacks, District Number 5. We're gonna start going over some of the crime stats that we have for the Part 1 crime stats for the month of February. I know we have to use my cheat sheet. Alright. So for homicides, we have one in January, we have one in the month of February. I believe both of those have been solved, cleared. So there's been no change. Sexual assaults have dropped by 25%. We had 4 in January, 3 in the month of February. Robberies have also been down. We had 15 last month. That's equals to a 29% drop. Our aggravated assaults are also down. The month of January was pretty active at 86. Month of February we had 43. So about 50% drop. Really good work by the officers being out there and patrolling. Human trafficking for the month is month-to-month ratio has been no change. The totals of violent crime numbers are down 44% so far from month to month. Our property crimes up. The burglaries are the same, 23 for the month of January through the month of February. Thefts are dropped down from 65 to 48. Auto thefts are close to the same, at 55 in January, 52 in the month of February, and arsons are down from 5 in January to 3 in the month of February. Total property crime is down 15%, and non-fatal shootings between January and February were up by 3, which is a 6% change, and carjackings were up by 2, which is a 100% change. Overall, year to date, from this time last year to and this time this year, it's a small sample, but we're down in homicides. Sexual assaults were down, robberies were down, human trafficking were up slightly. People are just being more aware, calling in those things, so we're able to help victims. Our total violent crime numbers are from last year were 240. Year to date, this year we're down to 176, which is a 27% drop.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Over the last year and this year, we're making really great progress on bringing down our crime in our neighborhoods, which you can see from the Harambe neighborhood has our biggest neighborhood that makes up 5 has really seen a big drop in numbers.
I just was hearing on the news about the auto thefts, and now they're able to start duplicating our.
Yes.
Have you had anything here in our district yet?
Yes, and I'm gonna get to that. So, talking about the auto thefts, that's our auto thefts are up by 4%. Pretty much the same year to date as last year. But yes, the new trend is going to be stealing cars, using a key fob programmer. There's different models of it. Unfortunately, the state of Wisconsin is a little bit behind the times. There's 15 states that require you to be a licensed locksmith to possess one of those things, so the mere possession of having a key programmer is not illegal in the state of Wisconsin. So our enforcement makes it a challenge. A lot of times when we do recover what is they call a key programmer is after a chase or chasing like a stolen car, you get someone in custody, either they have one on them or they drop it outside the car as they're running away from us, or they leave it inside the car that they're fleeing from. We have recovered several of them this year, just in our district. I think we recovered 3 this year, I believe, total. So it is an issue. Auto thefts were up last year. It was a big problem. Trying to get those numbers down has been a challenge. With these key programmers, it hasn't made TikTok famous yet, but it's slowly getting there. Kind of how like Kia's kind of first started. As you can see in other sites coming up, when we start talking about auto thefts, you see the cars that they're are taking now is starting to change.
So does that really work if they said put it in a metal case or put it in aluminum foil? Does that really do anything?
Yes and no. So if you take a key, it's called a Faraday bag. Faraday bag basically blocks like a signal. So in theory, if you have a set of car thieves that are just trying to snatch your signal from your key fob to your car, you can prevent that by putting it into a Faraday bag, put it in something metal so the signal can't be picked up from outside of your house or your purse or your pocket or something like that. Unfortunately, thieves have changed, the technology has changed. They no longer really need to have your key fob anymore. There's different ways of getting into the car. Cars are electronic. I'm not gonna tell you all the secrets of how to get into there, but cars are electronic. If I can find any way from the exterior of your car to connect to the computer that is inside of the car, I can get into the car. And once I get into the car, I can deactivate your key fob, create my own key fob, and now it's in my car. I'll go over some ways and try to prevent that in like a later slide. So regarding this slide over here, the other big thing is arsons have been up, which is never a good thing. Year to date from last year, we had 8 total incidents, which is 2 more than last year. Most of those people are in custody who have been doing that, so it's not a big deal. I know there's probably still one arsonist that's out there that has not been taken into custody yet. We started some fires back in January, but the ones for this month, I think all those arsons are assault. Total property crime is down 12% for the year, and total Part 1 crime is down 19%. Year to date, non-fatal shootings are down by 24%, and our carjackings year to date were down 40%, which is good. But now that they know how to steal cars a different way, it's a horse piece. This is a breakdown in the automatic district, depending on where you live. Obviously, automatic district 1 is for Pratt. Automatic district 3 does not have a alderman at this time. Automatic district 6 is Ms. Collins. 7 is Alderman Jackson, and number 15 is Mr. Stanford. It kind of gives you a breakdown of the incidents that takes place. I always remind people, Alderman Cogg's district encompasses the entire district number 5, so her numbers are always greater than the other automatic districts, who only are represented by a sliver. Some of them only have maybe like 4 or 5 blocks within the district, or maybe like 10 blocks or something like that. But it's really small compared, so that's why the numbers are always a little bit skewed. but overall crime has been going down. This slide also shows you, see the majority of the shootings happen in the Harambe neighborhood, and the other two happen in Alderman Stampers neighborhood. Carjackings are pretty concentrated between the Harambe neighborhood and Alderman District number 3, which is going to be the east side, the more east side of the district. Brewers Hill and the northwest area. Yes. The slide also shows you the top 10 type of calls, and it breaks it down by Alderman district. Most people want to know about like shot spotters. It kind of breaks it down. We had 157 incidents of shot spotters so far this year, and it breaks it down of where it occurs throughout the district. Notably, obviously, Automatic 3 doesn't really have a shot spotter in that area, so their numbers are, it does happen, but it's usually very rare that something would signal over there. And there's not a lot of shots being fired over there, but there was a shooting recently, and it wouldn't get picked up by the shots. The next slide is about the violent crime in the area. The red dot is the homicides that occur in the area, and the blue dot with the circle around it is a double non-fatal shooting. The blue dots, solid blue dots are non-fatal shootings. The black dots are your aggravated assaults. The yellow dots that encompass the black dots are firearm related shootings. We had one homicide that was firearm related. Last month, that was solved. We had 43 aggravated assaults and 8 non-fatal shootings. Of those, 19 were firearm related. 17 of them, which is disturbing, is 17 related and arrests. We made 17 arrests in those. Regarding our DVs, as a department, we're just going to start focusing in on DVs. Trying making more arrests and faster arrests, being able to get people into custody, and being able to partner with the Children of Truth House, with our DV advocates. We're going to really try to bring down, I mean, a lot of times you can tell from the violence as it starts to progress in these relationships that you know it's only going to end in violence and in death. So we're trying to be more proactive with providing services and coming up with creative ways on being able to prosecute even sometimes without the victim cooperating. This slide also tells you where crime kind of occurs. We have 29 instances that happen inside of residence, 11 inside of the street, 2 in the business, and 1 in the apartment. Crime is kind of spread out throughout the district. And the one homicide that occurred was that 15-year-old child that was found behind the house inside of the car playing with the solved. The criminal complaint is out with the 4 people who were charged with that. Next slide is for robbery carjackings. Now, the yellow dots there are the carjackings, and the purple dots are the robberies. They're kind of concentrated in the Brighton Heights neighborhood. That's the majority of them, as far as robberies, and then those kind of spread out throughout the neighborhoods of the district. Carjackings, majority of them happen in the Brewers Hill, Hillside and River West area. Out of the carjackings and robberies, 10 of them were armed, 5 of them were strong armed. 53% of them were firearm related. 7 occurred on the street, 6 in the residence, 1 in the business, 1 in the parking lot.
Strong arm is just overpowering somebody.
Yes, basically, there's no weapon that is involved in that. Burglaries. Burglaries are kind of happening throughout the entire district, kind of spread out. Those are the blue dots that are represented on the map. The yellow dot are the business burglaries, and the black dot are others. Like a truck or, not a truck, like a garage or something. 15 of them occurred in the residence, 7 in the business, 1 was the other. Top items taken are radios, TVs, VCRs, DVD players, household goods. There are 2 business burglaries that occurred in a 2400 block of West Cornell. The way that we've arrested 2 people this past month for being involved. One of the big things that's happening around the district, especially like the business dots there, as you've seen Capitol Drive, North Avenue, and Atkinson Avenue. Those are businesses. A lot of times they're going through either their glass or through the roof. They're trying to target the unsafe. One group has been taken into custody. I think there's a new group that just started up recently. They're working in the northwest side of the city and the city of Los Alamos. So, but we're actively trying to apprehend them, prevent these from taking place. We also talked about the type of method of entry. They're quite jimmy. There were 5 of them that were unlocked. 3 of them had the lock broken or cut, and there are 3 by the force. Most frequently, this occurred on Wednesdays and Saturdays between the hours of midnight and 4 a.m. and 4 a.m. to 6 a.m. Not sure which one it is. Idle thefts, there we go. So yes, if you got ahead of myself a little bit, idle thefts has been a big problem in the city and in our district. The light blue dots are all idle thefts that occurred over the past month, over the 28-day period. They're spread out throughout the area. A lot of these idle thefts, they happen on between Mondays and Fridays, between 5 p.m. and 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. and 3 a.m. 13 of them were taking the keys. Out of the 52 idle thefts, only 13 were taking the keys, and we did recover 31 out of 52. I heard several different issues with this. Like I said, there's the key fob issue, people trying to steal your car or send them over your key fob so they can start your car and drive away. That's a little bit older. That was going on there like 2 years ago. Now there's different devices that they can attach to your computer from outside the car, they can get in, or they can find a way to manipulate the lock on the outside of the door using a new machine. That's another way to get into the car. Or they just break one small window and they get in there. And they attach to what is called your OBD2 connector. You plug up this machine. Like all locksmiths, you can then reset the computer. Some of these, depending on the model that the thief owns or they bought or they stole from the locksmith, they can rechange VIN numbers, reprogram keys. There's a lot they can do with it. Unfortunately, these machines can program keys for 90% of the cars out there. So I can't tell you go buy this stuff because any car that anyone in this room is able to afford, including myself, is probably going to be within that 90% of the area. For our district, Toyota has been the top stolen car, followed by GM, Hyundai, and Nissan. For the city, I'll tell you, Nissan is now the #1 stolen car. So, as everyone used to always think of, you have the Kias, you have the Hyundais, and that's what they were targeting. Now, Nissan is the #1 stolen car.
So is there a specific Toyota that they're after?
Or years even? Are they the newer, the middle, the older?
So the easiest car for them to steal now is, well, what we used to believe is that kept us safe from having our car stolen, is any car that has a push button start. Because there you don't need a physical key anymore. Of course, the problem with keys or cars with keys is you can kill the colonies and like jumpstart them, so it's a force of peace. But now they figured out a way how if you have a push button start, I don't need a key, I can just program the computer to start the car and drive off. And then once I'm in an area where I don't have to worry about you coming out and pulling the gun on me for being inside your car, I can grab another key fob, program that key fob, and then if I get pulled over, I can fix the car window that I broke in, and then if I go by the police, no, I have this car, I have permission to drive this car. It becomes a lot more challenges because now I have the keys for it. Or what officers are going to perceive as having the keys for the car. So it is a big problem. It started off in Chicago as being a big problem. It started off initially with like the Dodges, the Jeeps, the SRTs, the Hellcats, and now they realize, oh, this technology can use for any car. And once one person does it, it starts to spread around. It gets on TV. And
There was a big lawsuit for Kias when people stealing that. So how who's at fault here? If every vehicle with a computer can be stolen?
that's a very good question.
Kia was a defect though.
Yeah, well, Kia
Yeah.
they just didn't.
Yeah.
Kia just did not install a safety measure for you to be able to not steal the car. That was just, they were just trying to save money. Kia, Hyundai, they was just trying to save money. They since have fixed that. You can have a computer upgrade now, and they can do that. We're looking at ways of trying to message on how to prevent your car from being stolen. Unfortunately, there's a couple different things you can do, but it all costs money. Like I said before, you can install a kill switch. That's really old school. It's also a hassle, but it works, right? Because you have a physical kill switch with a key. You gotta have that key to turn. You can connect the wires somewhere underneath there. Could they still steal your car? Absolutely. Will they be able to do it within 5 minutes if they're willing to sit there? Probably not. Another thing that you need to look out for is like sometimes tow trucks that are operating illegally. They've been stealing cars too, driving cars off the street.
The infamous white.
Yeah. Yes. So we're working on that. There's other operators in the city too, who uses tow trucks to steal cars. Yeah, that's only a couple seconds to grab a car off the street with the tow truck. We have people looking into that and working on that too, but where there's a will, there's a way.
Does the club help any of that?
So it can be a visual deterrent sometimes. I mean, if they want your particular car, they would just cut it off. How you can buy battery powered sawzall, and you can just cut through the steering wheel and just move it over and take it out. These kids today are a lot more creative than they were in the past.
So the things that you can program for almost 90% of the cars, have you heard of any product that can scramble that? Like when the hackers get hired by the companies they hack, you know what I mean? Is there someone out there, cause I'm sure there's some brainiac, like has there been any talk about, like a thing that you could put on your car to deter that? Have you heard of anything?
I have.
Or is that just like for Marvel movies and stuff?
No, I have thought about that. I'm not a engineer. I'm assuming there's probably something that someone
I'm just wondering
eventually
if you
could
guys
do.
have heard it.
They have not came up with anything yet. This is still kind of new. It hasn't really made what I guess would be a major impact for automakers as of right yet. So, they're always usually slow to react, and so it becomes an issue. Like Kia, Hyundai, it was an issue for them for years until it became an issue, and then they, with the fix. So, I think we're still in the, we have a lot of cars that are being stolen. It's still in the percentage nationwide is probably still pretty slow. So they're not gonna put in money for something that's not really effective.
I wouldn't expect the car companies to do it. I would expect some super nerdy tech person. It would be like an aftermarket thing, but same place that's installs stereos and kill switches.
So, one of the best things you could do is just not use your key fob. We've all gotten used to hitting lock and unlock. But that's the signal that's being captured. Or when you hit the remote start, that's the signal that's being captured, duplicated, allowing them to get into the vehicle.
You're advocating going to the door and using the key?
Yes.
And half of us don't even know how to do that.
No. You know, some vehicles it is covered. You have to pry off a little plastic bit to get to the actual keyhole. I was just looking up, they also make locks for the OBD2 sensor underneath that you can get. That would definitely slow people down, because if you're gonna try and cut that off, you're gonna cut the OBD2 sensor and make it useless.
That's
So
what I'm
there-
asking, like, there's aftermarket products.
Oh.
There is.
Try
Yeah, there is
to-
an aftermarket OBD2 sensor lock. I think it's like $27. You can buy it on Amazon. I didn't recommend it yet because I'm thinking through the process of how I would defeat it, and I think I can defeat it within like a minute. But it's something that you could do. It could be something that would stop them from, they're like, oh, I mean, these are still pretty young kids who are, 15, 16, 17 years old who are still selling these cars. I mean, they're buying these machines off of Amazon for like $500. I don't know how they get the money, we don't have any job, but they do it. So that might stop them from taking your car and just moving to the next car really quickly.
I mean, even the club people do that too.
Yeah,
If they're lazy, still
if they're
use
lazy,
your car.
visual deterrence. I always tell people don't leave a lot of money in your car, don't leave a lot of things in your car. I leave nothing in my car actually, besides junk.
One thing you can do, and it's annoying, but you can find out where your fuel pump relay is in your fuse box and just pull that. Then there's no fuel getting to the engine. Correct.
They would have to use one of
They would
Correct.
have these ones also.
That would be a pain in the butt
It
because you
is.
gotta open your hood and go in there and actually pull the
those.
fuse.
They would skip the
but-
car.
Yeah, they
Yes.
would skip the time.
Yeah.
But that would be something that I would consider doing if you're gonna be like parking your car and be gone
Yeah.
out of town for a few days. You know, make sure your car's not being stolen. That'd be something that you can do. Let's see, we also had we have a town hall coming up with the Milwaukee County Sheriff's Department. That is this week, right?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. On the 6th, between 3 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. at Clinton Rose Senior Center on King Drive. And then we have Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinic for anyone who needs that. From January 21st to April 25th. I think that's it, right?
Yes.
This blurry to me. All right, questions, comments, concerns, other than the cars? Yes, sir?
Tim, with the auto theft or the carjacking, what's your percentage of recovery at, do you have track of that or?
For the cars,
Yeah, it's at 69%.
Oh, there, on it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's on
One.
board.
31 recovered, 60.
Oh, I see.
yeah, 69% of them are recovered. We do look at, we do get, cars concentrated recoveries in like certain areas. We are focusing in those areas so we can catch people who are driving in there. I'm assuming a lot of, most people are lazy, right? Just steal a car, you drive around for a little bit. You're not gonna park no more than maybe 2 or 3 blocks away from your house and then walk home. So we're working on that, working on areas around the city where the majority of cars are being recovered at, focusing our enforcement efforts in those areas to see if we can, hopefully, take more people into custody who are involved in car thefts and really focusing hard and working with the courts, working with the DA's office to charge and working with the courts to give them some type of jail time. I think a lot of what has happened in the past is you have a kid who gets arrested, they get taken out of children's court, they get released within like 5 minutes, they're back out there, they're still in the car again and again and again. So we're trying to get away from that. We're trying to work with the courts, with the DA's office to prevent that from happening. Because it's not beneficial to the community and it's not beneficial to the kid either.
as residents and citizens? I mean, could you recommend any contact points for that? Is that, you know, encouraging the district attorney to engage in that stuff? Is that, you know, I respect that it's happening, but it's also kind of, you know, we just like, okay, it's happening, but what can we do to kind of like just keep the encouragement for that kind of stuff?
I know there is, so for like reckless driving accidents and people cause death, I know there's a group, I can't get the name of it offhand, I have it right now, that they show up for every one of those court hearings. The carjacking thing is a little bit hard, or the robberies for these kids, because they're in juvenile court. It's hard to really be involved in juvenile court because of how the court is kind of set up. You kind of check in, the people who are involved, they call those people into the courtroom, and they close the door, and they have it through there. So it's harder for citizens to be involved, but,
Enough is enough.
What about victim?
Yeah, that's the name of
Enough
it.
is
Yeah,
enough.
enough is
Victim
enough.
impact statements?
yes, victim impact statements, that usually helps a lot with the adult court. We're working with the they're trying to work with the juvenile court so the judges understand the impact of these kids are having in the community themselves, and not just being so focused just on the kid's needs that's causing this, but also something needs to be done to dissuade them from this type of behavior. So, you always call the DA's office. I don't have the number on me right now, but I can give it to you, or my officer can give it to you. You can call them, express your concerns with them, overcharging. They're aware of it. We have conversations all of the time. At district number 5, we have a ADA that's assigned, Brittany Kinjawe. She's really good, really active. So they're working hard at it too. They understand the issue. It's just getting through the whole process. A lot of times, one of the biggest challenges that we have in a lot of neighborhoods is people don't want to go to court. And even if we're officers who do a good job and they apprehend a lot of kids and they prevent a lot of cars from being stolen, but when they make contact with the people who would be our victims, they don't want to be a complaint on it. They just want to, well, you caught them, my car is safe now, I don't want to do anything about it. And that makes it more challenging. You else have any questions? I was snowing outside, it's cold.
I had another question. Has there been much success or, you know, around chronic nuisance reporting and actions you've been able to take? I'm thinking specifically in light of like rental properties maybe that have consistent issues. I know that there's an ordinance that the city has for chronic nuisance. I don't know if you find it being like well utilized in the district or.
Yes, we do send out those letters after, I think it's 2 acts of violent or.
Two major or 3 2 major within 1 year, or 3 minor ones within 1 month. It's the Milwaukee Municipal Ordinance 8010 codes.
And Officer Sly sends out the letters, and Officer Romo, they send out the letters, and after that, the owners of the property will start getting billed. We also try to take a proactive approach by meeting with the property owner. Sometimes property owners don't know, like they lease it out to someone else, and they're not really fully aware of what's going on. So we try to meet with the property owner, come up with a game plan, how they're gonna hold their tenant responsible, and then also tell them that we're also gonna, not only, but we're as a city are gonna hold them responsible for their property, so it's in their best interest to hold their leaseholder responsible, or to either end the lease or evict them, and that has been working.
Do you think is it possible to have some stats or some kind of regular? It's just interesting data, I think, because a lot of people are very, you know, I feel like in my neighborhoods, people don't know what to do about rental properties sometimes, and I feel like this is maybe the best tool if it's like, it's somebody who, there's a consistent problem at a property, but you want to get to the root of the issue and deal with them. So I don't know, I just feel like maybe having some data around this and making it more part of a toolkit for residents could be helpful.
Okay.
I don't know if that's possible.
I could look into it. I think it's possible to come up with the data. Not every property qualifies for a nuisance. We do send out what's called like a pre-nuisance letter. just to give property owners some warning so they're not blindsided by it. But also, we also partner with our other governmental partners to address issues that may not be like a police matter. So like if someone's like parking on the grass or not parking on the street, have a lot of trash in their yard, we work with DNS, DPW, parking enforcement, we work with a lot of different other entities to try to work through those issues. And we work as a team. A lot of times you will see us work, do like a big neighborhood walk in an area that's having a lot of problems with the alderperson, and it allows us to address those things right there. I have known that sometimes some members of other agencies, and depending on the neighborhood, might sometimes have an issue of being over there by themselves because they're not armed, and people become hostile towards them. So by having us with them, kind of alleviates that. People are tend to be more receptive to what they would have to say and are willing to start fixing things. And I tell you, a lot of times we had to like tow cars and stuff, and once the tow truck starts pulling up, you'd be surprised who comes out of the house and starts moving and cleaning up stuff.
Thanks.
We could, if you want, we could have a guest speaker from the city of Milwaukee, kind of give a little bit more of an introduction and resource information regarding this, if that's what you're requesting, we could do that too as well.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it would be interesting, I think, maybe for other people too, because I do think it's like an underutilized tool that residents have when it comes to like, what do we do about, the loud music next door that we've asked to stop and it just continues or whatever, like there are ways to kind of do something. So
Yeah. If you do have any properties like that, you can call our office. I can absolutely add it to our tracking, our nuisance tracking, but the nuisance tracking is driven by calls for service. And it's verified calls for service. So unfortunately, if there's a noise nuisance, a squad gets there an hour and a half, 2 hours later, and they don't hear anything, unfortunately, I can't use that. But as long as I keep getting calls, I'm gonna keep tracking it because it's obviously still a problem. And I'm not tracking it until I can do something with the 8010 codes, place it in a nuisance, or there's so many calls, I call up the landlord and say, hey, we need to meet about this, what's going on?
Sometimes we involve our ADA Brittany as well, DNS depending, so we try to look into it, but definitely the calls will help. Like my partner said, even 2 hours later, he can't use it, but it's drawing us a picture as to which one is kind of narrowing it down to the.
right, and then there's ways for intervention. I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal. It's like, if it means you have to intervene with the landlord or whatever, or just the people that are leasing, but it's good to feel like as a resident, we have a way to kind of voice that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Anyone have any other questions? Thank you guys for coming. See you guys again next month. We'll be in the same place, at the same time.
Same time.